Well, the Morrison Group is many agencies that have PR as part of their services. We've gone in the standard of response from let's wait for 3 or 4 days, because it used to be a newspaper, like let's say the Washington Post or the New York Times, where something happened, there was a crisis, somebody wrote about it, and then the advice typically was one of two: ignore it because in a week nobody will remember it. Or the second was be the first one to respond so you can shape the narrative of what it is that you're doing. But what automation has done in digital transformation, it basically created a new environment where if you don't really reply and create a crisis communication system that is heavy on the digital and know who the stakeholders, who are the decision makers, who are influencers that can help you fix the narrative if it's a kind of a perception of a mistake versus a criminal mistake, which is harder to fix, right? You're basically living in dark ages because typically it's 2 to 4 hours. If you're not responding within 2 to 4 hours and you don't use those tools that I just mentioned in terms of having prepared responses, you are going to be a dinosaur very quickly and an easy target for your competitors. So I always basically tell people crisis communication is not responding to what happened. It's getting ahead of the story.
Now, are you aware that there are some executives right now that they're just faced with some tough conversation they're avoiding? And what would that look like?
Yes. Many times, especially when companies have to go through downsizing. And a week ago, for example, in time, just imaginary time for the example, a CEO and a CFO and a COO sat down and said, we didn't meet the numbers. We have to let go of, let's say, 200 employees. The traditional approach has been to have an email send and cut the card access to those 200 or 2,000 or 20,000 employees, which basically created a new brand for you, which is you're not human, you don't care about the future, and most importantly, you didn't have the capacity to have an emotional IQ by which you tell them there might be an opportunity to come back. We might help you get placed in another company that has the same kind of talent that you have. And that's really not happening. More and more, we're seeing kind of a digital response, which again breaks down the trust that humans used to have. You know, if you were kind of a union worker, especially, or kind of working in an organized kind of labor environment, you had kind of protection of a kind from your leadership. But when you think about factory workers and replace factory workers with government workers, with anyone, the time to tell people that there is trouble ahead is an all hands meeting, a town hall meeting that is happening a month before. Because if you're basically getting the data a week before you have to execute the firings of many talented employees, guess what? Somebody's not telling the truth within the company, and it's not a surprise. So working to help companies keep their brand resilient has to do with how do we basically respond in a way that takes into consideration that things go really fast. Sometimes you don't control what's going on, but how do you basically remain a human in an age of digital where the rumor mill is going to be extraordinary and hurt your brand because you didn't do the right thing? And the right thing would be that town hall, a communication that is not a taped video that goes to everybody in the company on a portal, but having humans tell the situation and really kind of not make up a story, but say, hey, we screwed up, but here's what we're doing to fix it.